I feel like I'm always overthinking that as well. I feel like I put so much pressure on myself because I have this one goal in the end, which is the big leagues, and I feel like if I don't make it, I failed. And that's something I've talked to my mom about, my dad too, and they've just like, if it doesn't work out, there's a reason for it. There's going to be something bigger for you. So when I get on the mound, I draw a cross, then P234 for Psalms 23:4. 7 years old, he has these summer camps, these kids summer camps, and I just grew up going to those all the time, probably 5 of them a summer, just hanging around, playing baseball. I sat down, I was just laying in bed, and I was like, God, what do you want from me?
Welcome back to another episode of the Walk Podcast, where today I'm so pleased to be joined by freshman pitcher for North Carolina State, Aiden Kitchings. Welcome to the show, Aiden.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and so I want to give you a little bit of intro here.
Okay.
So I mentioned Aiden. He's a freshman pitcher here at NC State, but you're from Brazelton, Georgia?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Brazelton, Georgia, but you went to high school at Rabun Gap Nacoochee High School. But Brazelton, Georgia, that's like the greater Atlanta area,
yes, sir,
right?
it is.
So we just had Sherman on, and he's from Atlanta.
He's from
well,
around that area, yes, sir.
There's some baseball players from that area.
Definitely.
But your dad's a football coach for Virginia,
yes, sir.
which is awesome. And now you're here. You're playing baseball.
Yes, sir.
So I guess, really to start, you got to take me through, did you really grow up in Georgia? Where did you grow up? Was it Georgia? Walk me through where you grew up.
It's kind of crazy you mentioned that. So my dad coached football at NC State, actually, from 2012 to 2019, so I lived the majority of my life there. I grew up going to football games, obviously, going to baseball camps with Coach Aiden, so I've honestly known him for forever. It's kind of crazy how it's like full circle moment, So because I was committed to Missouri after my junior year, I committed there, and then I felt like that wasn't the right place for me, so I ended up decommitting and ended up here with Coach Aiden. So that's full circle. Is crazy, but for sure.
That's so full circle. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you grew up and you grow up at 2012 to 2019. And so were you living here in Raleigh?
I was living in Raleigh over in Creedmoor area. Yes, sir. It's about, I want to say 20 minutes from here.
Okay, so you're growing up in this North Carolina NC State area. You're obviously your dad's a football coach, so you're just super engulfed into the Wolfpack culture here.
Definitely.
So what was it like? Just were you just a huge NC State fan growing up?
For sure.
Yeah.
I really was. I was NC State everything. We grew up going to football games, baseball games, basketball, at all. Always running around the facilities, whether that's the football ones or the baseball ones. I didn't really know anything else but NC State growing up. So it's kind of crazy being back here, playing for Coach Aiden. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and so full circle. So you mentioned, Coach Aiden, you mentioned baseball camps. So you would go to his baseball camps growing up?
Yes, sir. I remember my first one. I was 7 years old. He has these summer camps, these kids summer camps, and I just grew up going to those all the time. Probably 5 of them a summer, just hanging around, playing baseball.
And so I know one thing you kind of see with sometimes coaches' kids is they're bouncing around, moving everywhere, but it's cool that you were able to kind of have a bit of a home base here where you kind of had a place where you kind of felt like home. And so now to be able to see wow, you're back here.
Definitely.
And, so when you committed to Missouri,
yes, sir.
I'm just curious, did you already have an offer from NC State or did you not?
I did not. I honestly didn't even talk to them. That whole thing happened so fast, just right after I decommitted in that summer. They called out after they saw I decommitted, and they're like, yeah, let's just get on the phone. And 24 hours later, I committed. So it's crazy.
And so you knew pretty quick, after you decommitted, that you were committed to NC State. Talk me through that 24-hour window.
Okay.
When did you really I'm curious, when did you really know, oh man, I'm going to go back to NC State?
It just was a gut feeling, I knew the area so well. I've honestly known my academic advisor here forever too. So, working with her, working with the coaching staff I've known forever, I felt like it was the right place to be.
That's great. That's great.
It was awesome.
Okay, so I'll dive more into what things are like now, but I want to backtrack things a little bit. So growing up, I'm curious. I know your identity is in Jesus, and he's your life, and which is super exciting to hear, Aiden.
Definitely.
But I'm curious, what was it like growing up for you? Did you grow up around Christianity at all, or was it kind of foreign, or was it something that was really familiar to you? I'm curious, as a younger kid, what that was like.
So I feel like I grew up in a pretty strict Christian household. I converted to Catholicism going into 7th grade. I went to a Catholic school going into my 7th grade year, so did all the confirmations, the baptisms, the first communions, all that. So in that school, we actually had an everyday Bible class, which was awesome. It was an hour long. We just went over different types of different sections of the Bible. We went over how confirmation works, things like that. I had a confirmation class to be confirmed. So just being around that was awesome. You know, we had a weekly mass every Thursday in that school, so being around that was incredible. You know, just giving me the ability to fully find myself with a relationship with Jesus, because I feel like some people, you know, they say they know him, but they don't really have, I guess, connections that some people like you would need, you know, and other times they're just like not really invested, or like they don't have people to invest themselves in him with them, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I feel like I was just lucky enough to be in that situation at the time I was, to give me the relationship I need and have today.
Yeah. And so you said that was like 7th grade?
7th grade, yes, sir.
7th grade or so. Okay, nice. And so, so you get to the point where in 7th grade, you're like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, like you're truly starting to really
Mhm.
start to find your faith.
Definitely.
And you're starting to find like that you're making Jesus like the Lord of your
Mhm.
life. So can you walk me through, so like you're in high school
Mhm.
and you're, you know, you're following Jesus,
Mhm.
but like, was that hard or was it easy? Like, how would you even just describe your experience of just like following Jesus
Mhm.
as a high schooler?
I think it's been very inconsistent, up and down, you know, especially going into my sophomore year, moving to a boarding school where I knew nobody. Everybody was honestly foreign. They were from different countries. So I feel like that was the hardest part, you know, living on my own for the first time at 16. I feel like that's when I truly started to work my way in with Jesus, because I remember right when I moved in, my dad gave me this poster with a Bible verse on it. It was Psalms 23:4, which is, yeah, I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me, your rod and staff, they comfort me. I feel like that's just helped me ever since, you know, realizing that, yeah, with all these dark storms that we have, all these uncertainties, we know that Jesus is never going to forsake us. He's always with us no matter what happens. So I feel like just having that in the back of my mind has definitely helped. But going out throughout high school, it's just been up and down. I feel like that's with everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why'd you end up at a boarding school?
It was mainly just baseball related. You know, I wasn't really happy at the high school I was at previously with baseball. You know, I feel like I wasn't developing, so I just decided to take a risk and move, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
So I gotta figure this out though. Your dad, football coach, played the NFL, football.
Yep.
How do you end up in baseball?
Honestly, well, my dad's rule growing up was, you know, you have to be this certain height and weight to play football. He didn't want us to get hurt, and I feel like I stuck with baseball at a pretty young age, and I just never wanted to give it up. You know, I played football a little bit going into my sophomore year of high school, but after that, I just felt like baseball was the right move, and I'm glad I stuck with it. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And do you I want to know, like, did you find that like baseball was kind of like your first like love of a sport? Like,
Definitely.
is that always your favorite sport
For
growing
sure.
up?
I feel like I started when I was around 3, and just every year I've just played more and more and got to where point I am now. So I feel like it's always been my favorite.
Nice. Okay. So you go off to that boarding school and you're playing baseball, which I will say, like, it kind of seems like you had to grow up pretty fast.
Yeah, definitely
in that,
did.
like, not a ton of people can relate to, like, you know, I can at least say, like, when I was 16, 17, like, I'm just at my public high school growing up and, you know, and just hanging out with my friends, and you're kind of like on this trajectory where you're really trying to like make this baseball thing a real thing.
Definitely.
When you go off to boarding school, like, and you like, man, I know nobody, like, what did that experience kind of teach you?
Honestly, I feel like it helped me so much just grow up, you know, taught me how to live on my own, how to take care of myself, you know, do the little things I need to be successful. Because at home, I feel like I was kind of just relying on my parents, you know, relying on the advisors I had at my high school back in Georgia. I feel like it was just kind of waiting on people to do things for me. And honestly, I felt like that wasn't the right way to grow up. So once I moved to that boarding school, it taught me that I had no choice. You know, I had to do things on my own. I had to learn how to fend for myself and things like that. So that definitely helped me grow up as a person.
So you commit to Missouri. You end up, you know, you're coming back to NC State.
Yep.
Coming back home.
Definitely.
And,
yes, sir.
like, in a way, you know. And so I want to kind of dive in a little bit into your just experience here at NC State. So you get to NC State, and obviously you kind of had some experience of, you know, being at a boarding school,
yes,
like,
sir.
You know, really handling baseball already in like more of a professional way. But can you just talk me through the transition of just like jumping into college baseball?
Oh, it's been difficult for me. I feel like, you know, just the transition into college in general is especially hard. But now also trying to do a sport with it is something that I never imagined I would struggle with. But right now it's just, I feel like each day it's getting better and better, you know. Just the first week straight into college lifts, college conditioning, all that, I was like, dang, this is something else, you know. It was a struggle at first, but each week, each day, I just feel like I'm growing in myself and in the Lord, just one day at a time, and it's definitely helping me, for sure.
How do you lean on the Lord when things are hard?
That's something I'm been trying to work with, you know. I feel like up and down I'm struggling right now. I just try to, you know, I read my Bible every day. We have weekly Bible studies in the locker room. There's about probably 5 or 8 of us that just go out and just do a read. Right now we're in John, so we're reading 1 John, just trying to work through that. And then on Mondays we have Athletes in Action, where all the athletes around NC State, and I believe there's 2 other schools, local, 2 smaller D2 schools. They all meet at the WB facility over at NC State, and we eat dinner together. We have this giant prayer circle. We break into smaller groups too, and just go over the different like chapters and break them down, and just trying to get our own opinion on it. It's awesome. It helps so much. And
so you've really leaned on like having good community and good things being plugged into,
for sure,
to keep pointing you back to the Lord, which is great. And with like, and you said that like, man, things a little hard right now.
Yeah,
things are hard, and it's like, but you say that like, it seems so. Jesus is what keeps you going.
For sure, because I know he has a plan for me. You know, and that's one of the hardest things is uncertainty. I mean, you know, my biggest dream is to make the big leagues, is to make a name for myself. And I guess one of my biggest fears is if that doesn't happen, I don't know what I'm going to do. But in the back of my mind, and my mom always tells me that, you know, Jesus is never going to fail you. There's always a plan for you no matter what happens. So just trusting that is the hardest part, but it's something you got to do.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for you too, Aiden, because like, you know, you grew up playing a sport, and it's like you earlier than most, even just like really diving into like baseball kind of being your thing. It'd be so easy to get wrapped up in that, just really being your identity of like, oh, Aiden Kitchings, the baseball player. Yeah, like that's like, it's so easy to just label you as that, and for you to identify with that. But when things don't go good, you're like, oh, who is Aiden? You know, if maybe if I'm not playing well, or I have a bad outing, or I'm whatever. And so like, I can just see how being rooted in Christ is just so important for you. And I actually think it'd be cool for you to just speak a little bit more on that, because I know there's other kids and other people who really like try to find their identity just in the wrong places. But like for you, like when you're reminding yourself of maybe your identity not being a baseball player, like, can you speak more on that?
Yeah, you know, so I've always, you know, baseball's been a part of my life, honestly my whole life, you know, and I feel like once my playing career is done, I want to do something in baseball as well, you know, either if that's like a pitching coach opening up a facility or something like that. But I've started to realize that, you know, Jesus has a bigger plan for me, and I've kind of starting to get this like, I guess, feeling in my gut that's like, you know, there's something bigger out there for me, and I feel like that's ministry or something like that, you know, just going out trying to show what Jesus has done in my life, and try to get that out to others who might not have the opportunity to truly know him, you know. Maybe if that's in other countries, going on mission trips, things like that, you know. I know there's a Puerto Rico mission trip here this summer, and unfortunately I'm not able to go because of baseball, but I feel like that's something I definitely want to do in the future, and just try to get out in those smaller countries and try to preach the gospel to people who are unfortunate enough not to know it, you know. I feel like that's kind of my calling right now. I feel like that's kind of each day, I feel like that's what God's trying to show me more and more.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's so cool too, because like we can find ourselves in a place where God's going to use each and every one of us individually in how he wants. And so, you know, and it's like, yeah, like for you, like baseball could be you playing until you're 40 in the big leagues, you know, but eventually it'll come to an end.
It will.
Yes, it too. And so like, even if that's the case where you're like, and maybe you're playing baseball, and then in the off season you're going out and you're going on mission trips, and you're doing all this stuff, or even just as a baseball player, you have so many opportunities to be able to glorify the Lord through that.
Definitely.
Heck, even this interview you're doing right now.
Yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
Awesome. But I think I want to hear you speak more on this, because I think one thing that's really unique about you is that not many people can relate to having like the giftings that you have, like in your sport. being able to throw a baseball as hard as you do.
Yes, sir.
It's, I mean, at least my outlook is I'm like, man, it seems like that's a gift from the Lord. Like, is that how you see it?
Sometimes yes and sometimes no. I feel like, he has gifted me with these abilities, but at the same time, if I come up short, I feel like I failed myself. I feel like I'm not doing enough. I feel like I'm always overthinking that as well. I feel like I put so much pressure on myself because I have this one goal in the end, which is the big leagues, and I feel like if I don't make it, I failed. And that's something I've talked to my mom about, my dad too, and they've just like, if it doesn't work out, there's a reason for it. There's going to be something bigger for you. So I've always tried to remember that, but that's probably one of the hardest things is, you want something so bad, and if it, that it's uncertain, that if it doesn't work out, it's kind of like a scary thought, you don't really know what's to come. Just uncertainty as a whole is just an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. It just makes me think though, like Romans 8:28, like, and it's like, this is a promise. It says like, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. And so it's like, you are called to the Lord's purpose.
For sure.
And he's working for your good and everything. And so it's so hard though, because you're right. It's like, man, what if things don't end up how I want?
Yeah.
And you're like, you're carrying the weight of this on your shoulders. And it's like, oh, I'm carrying this weight. And but the Lord just wants us to release that. To just take it one day at a time. Because it's like, dude, you don't know what 5 years is going to look like from now,
Yeah.
You don't even know how your next start's going to go.
That is true.
And it's like, it's cool how, like, the Lord's a lot of times, he's just like, trust me for the next step. Trust me for the next step.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you look at it, I guess, because I want to ask you about this, because, like, to even just reflect on this a little bit, but it's like, how I see it is like, God's been really faithful to you. And it's like, where he has you right now, it's like so cool how God, like, would be so intentional to, like, have you grow up and, like growing up, going to the Wolfpack games, football games, being around the baseball, and it's like, and you're here on now you're on the NC State baseball team.
That is crazy.
One of the best programs in the country. And like, and who would have thought then that you would, like, obviously maybe you had this vision, this dream, but like God's been so faithful to you, man. So like, when you look at God's faithfulness, like, do you just feel like he's been really faithful to you?
When I think about it, when I look at it as a whole, he definitely has. He's looking back at it all the trials and tribulations I've gone through, he's given me something bigger at the end. And it might have taken longer than others, or like other situations I've been in. But at the end, always something bigger and better comes out of it. And I honestly just have to keep remembering that what I'm going through right now, it's not going to last forever. There's always something better that's going to come out of it. He's never going to leave you. He always has a plan for you. And just knowing that deep down is such a comfortable feeling, It just, I feel like it helps me so much.
And so when you go out on the field or go out on the mound, like, how do you invite Jesus onto the field with you?
That's cool that you asked that, because I have this, like, I guess, routine, So when I go on the mound, I draw a cross and P234 for Psalms 23:4, and I just feel like that, just having that on the mound with me, kind of keeps a reminder that if this doesn't go the way I feel like it should, that something bigger is happening. He's not going to leave me. So I've done that probably since I moved to boarding school. Honestly, my sophomore year, every outing I'll just draw that in the dirt.
I don't know what this is like, because I've never played a high level of a sport. But for you, do you like talk to God at all when you're out on the mound? Or is it like, I know some people have said like, oh man, like between every pitch I'm thinking about God. Some people are like, oh, when I'm out there, I'm kind of just like in a flow state and I'm just flowing. Like, what is that like for you?
Yeah, so before each start I've had in high school, I would read my Bible. And then I think in between innings is when I would be like, okay, just lead me through this. If it's not going the way I want to, I'm like, okay, you got a plan for me. Just help me figure out what that plan is exactly. I just feel like in between innings, definitely. But when I'm throwing, I feel like I don't really think about anything else but throwing. But in between innings and after the game especially.
Yeah. Well, that's cool too, because in a lot of ways too, it's like one of the best ways we can glorify the Lord is just in doing whatever's in front of us to the best of our ability.
Definitely.
So you being out there locked in and throwing strikes, man, like that brings glory to the Lord, which is awesome.
For sure.
So I know earlier you mentioned that you guys in your Bible study, you guys are working through like 1 John right now. But I'm just curious, like, and you mentioned that a couple of Bible verses there. Is there like a certain book of the Bible that you've really enjoyed, or maybe a different Bible verse that you've really clung to, or anything?
Honestly,
It's okay if not.
I feel like Proverbs a little bit because there's, a book for each day of the week or a day of the month. So I would read one of those every day. And I also have a athlete's Bible. It's got at the end of the main Bible, it's a day for every day of the week or every day of the year. And it's got like a little passage and that gives you a lesson that goes with athletics and sports. I'll read that. My dad gifted that to me. So I feel like that's something I've always kept with me. It definitely helps. I read one of them every day, so it helps a lot.
Would you recommend that to like other athletes?
Oh, definitely. It gives you a lesson, it gives you a Bible verse, and it gives you 3 questions to ask yourself at the end. So it's like the lesson is probably like maybe 2 paragraphs long. Just teaches you, it gives you different examples of what other athletes have gone through, how they can use the Lord to get themselves out of these tough situations, and how each athlete, they like explain that it's all been better at the end. So I feel like definitely as an athlete, it's something that you should 100% want to read for sure.
Do you listen to Christian music at all?
I've gotten into it a little bit, but not as much as I should be. I'm trying to get into it more and more.
Totally. No, that's okay. And because sometimes people are like, "Oh man, I'm a huge Forrest Frank fan," or "I'm a huge," But what does like praying or prayer look like for you in your relationship with God?
For me, so my mom growing up, she taught me that to treat Jesus not as like like someone that's above you, treat him as a friend, you know what I mean? Because that's kind of how he was on earth. He was someone who treated everybody with respect. He never treated himself like he was above everyone else. So when I'm praying to him, I kind of just like have a conversation with him. I'd be like a couple nights ago, and I was struggling with confidence in baseball. I'd be like, I sat down, I was just laying in bed, and I was like, God, what do you want from me? I'm lost. Like I wouldn't be like, dear God, something like that. It's just kind of like a friendly conversation. I feel like that kind of helps me more and more.
And do you find too that you just go in with like, it seems like just go in with like an open surrender
Yeah,
heart.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
Just let it all out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, oh man, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And he just wants to hear it all.
Mm-hmm. He does. He really does.
I'll be real. There's been times for me, man, that I've been like, man, God, like, I don't know why I don't know why this is going on in my life. Or like, God, are you even there? Or like, God, this is hurting. And like, in some ways I hate this, but it's true. Like just even being sometimes frustrated with God in a way, but like, if we're going to be frustrated with God, then we should be frustrated with him directly to him. Because he knows what it's like to be human. Like he took on flesh in his son, Jesus.
Yes, sir.
One thing that we typically ask at the end of a lot of our interviews is, because some people are watching this episode and they're just like, man, Aiden, like that's Jesus guy, man. Like I'm curious about him, or like I really want to grow in my faith, or just, they're encouraged. But truly, like I guess the question for you here would just be like, what encouragement would you give somebody who maybe is watching this episode right now, who's thinking, oh man, I'm curious about this Jesus guy, and maybe I should pursue something?
I would say if you're thinking about it, just do it. It's the best decision I've made in my life. If you're uncertain about anything, if it's worth doing, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? He's always going to be there for you. It's definitely something that's changed my life. I know it's changed so many other people's lives. It's just do it. You got to do it. It's the best decision for you.
Amen, man. Well, I definitely would recommend that decision as well. It's the best decision you can make.
For sure.
And if any of you guys are watching this episode right now and maybe you don't have a Bible at home and you're like, man, I would love to read the Bible, we would love to send you guys one. So if you want to email us at info@thewalkfoundation.org, we'll get you sent your very own Bible. So email us at info@thewalkfoundation.org. But Aiden, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you for having me, for sure.
Dude, stay blessed, man.
You too. Yes, sir. Thank you.